Hello, welcome to Calls with your Kinky Bestie. I'm Emma. I am a submissive and mentor for fellow kinksters. This podcast is all about insights into kinky life and dating, sharing my personal experience and stories, and help share mindset shifts too to get you into a confident space, more confident than you are now. So get ready. It all starts now.
Oh my gosh, hi Kinky Bestie. I've got what's usually a pretty big topic in the BDSM community, which is collars. And I wanted to make a really short podcast about how that links in with ADHD or other neurodivergence, at least for me, and how this is actually a really fucking small topic for me. Because I want to normalize that. There are different parts of BDSM that are going to be big to you and parts that are going to be small. And the same thing for your ADHD. Some things that are a really big part of someone else's life might be nothing to you. So doing my part and making that really normal. And that's me sharing with you that I don't really like collars. I said it. And what's kind of wild about this is, so I'm an entrepreneur. I've got this business, Kinky Bestie. I have kink mentorship. But this is, I have ADHD, and part of that for me has been super strong entrepreneurial instincts just throughout my life. And whenever I was, earlier in my life, I actually had an Etsy business selling homemade kink collars. And I really, really enjoyed doing this. I knew how to sew. I had access to some really beautiful materials for it. And I made, really high quality collars. Not initially. At first they were, not super great, but I got there. And this was something that I really enjoyed doing and had a reasonable amount of success doing as far as an Etsy business can go. By the way, if you are ADHD and entrepreneurial, holy shit, physical products, the amount of time that goes into it, it's really, really, you've got to scale to a large level to be making the big dollars usually. So I have big props to anyone who's doing really well with that. And also just want to share that hey, maybe do the numbers and see even if you were super successful in this, how much time and money would need to go into it, especially if you want to be a solopreneur. It's kind of crazy. Anyways, okay, I won't go there. But so I used to actually make and sell collars, and I would wear them a good bit of the time. And I kind of went away from that and had a break from collars. But in the past year and a half or so with my partner, I've dipped just a little bit back into it with a couple different types of collars. And while I absolutely love the symbolism of collars in the community, and I have such strong value an appreciation for people who, view this topic differently than me and place huge significance on collaring. This is a really, really big deal for a lot of people in this community. It's, some people in the community, this is a bigger deal for them than marriage, than a legal marriage, how other people might, value that. For me, it's not so much. It's really, really not. And that is because I have sensitivity to touch. And especially having something on my neck, it just is a little, or more than a little, physically irritating and distracting. And while, they're gorgeous collars, and you can certainly make accommodations for yourself with this if you'd like to, and, get them made of super silky, super lovely materials. I've come to the realization over my life that even the most luxurious materials ever, I still don't like them on my neck. I just don't really like having anything on my neck. You'll notice in a lot of my videos, I'm wearing super open-necked clothes, and that's what a lot of my wardrobe is. Except in the winter, I kind of have to get it slightly warmer. So I've got a few like mock necks, like mock turtlenecks and things like that are still really, really loose around my neck, but kind of go there. But even then, they have to be like very specific, very, very silky, and I can't wear them all day just because it's so distracting to me and kind of grating over time. And I feel the same way with collars. And honestly, I feel the same way with most jewelry. It's pretty rare to see me in jewelry. Sometimes I'll wear earrings and sometimes I'll wear rings, but like bracelets or necklaces or anything that really like moves or you can feel it throughout the day, or is on a part of your body that like you move a lot throughout the day. It just doesn't really align with what my body likes about a lot of kink things. And I feel the same way about rope. I actually feel like less closeness to rope. I've explored it even less, just because it wasn't something that was a super strong desire to me. And even when I did go through phases of my life thinking like, oh, this is lovely, I want to try this and get into it, the second I do try it and have something on my skin, even with super silky, luxurious luxe materials, like, oof, it's just not for me. I just need to not be touched. Most of the time you'll find me, especially when I'm home relaxing, in very, very, very loose cotton clothes, and occasionally I wear diapers because like that type of sensation is really comforting for me. And honestly, that's a type of sensation where it kind of mutes touch. So because I'm very sensitive to touch, like I'm very sensitive to being touched down there. But if I have like a diaper on, that kind of creates this like layer that makes it a lot more bearable and manageable. So there's not much to this episode. I just wanted to share like, hey, as someone who's very openly in the kink community, and you know, most of my counterparts are really, really into these things and it's a big part of their identity. Hey, I respect that. I get that. I think that is so fucking cool. And also I want to validate if you've got sensory sensitivities or you just don't take the same like symbolism in physical objects, that is a-okay. You can be in the kink community too. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that lovely how we can all live in the same world and view it totally differently? Like, I used to have a lot of feelings about how that wasn't super lovely, but these days, wow, that's beautiful. However, I did want to share that whenever I was super into collars, I realized in reflection over the years that for me, it was more about like I wanted that type of connection that a lot of people like put the symbolism onto a collar for. And while the people who are super into collars will be the first ones to tell you like, hey, it's not really about the collar, like the collar's really nice and lovely and I do like it, but it's really more about like what it represents and the connection and all that stuff. Like I do acknowledge that. Whenever I was in my collaring phase, I felt the same way, and that's really what I wanted from it, was the symbolism and the connection and that type of closeness with a person. And yeah, just having that strong, like, committed bond with a partner within this, you know, kink dynamic that I wanted. But it was really valuable being able to recognize that and see the two and see how I was putting them together and realize, hey, well, okay, it's not really about the collar. And while I think collars are so beautiful, they also are a little distracting for me to wear because of the way that my brain and my body works. So for me, collaring isn't the goal anymore. And so once you know that and you see those, then you can communicate accordingly, seek out partners accordingly, and have that beautiful life you want. That being said, I did get a new collar, and it's blue leather, and I will be very occasionally throwing it on for a video because I do think they're super lovely. And it's a great way to signal to people in the wild that like, hey, I'm kinky, I'm cool, especially if you're looking to, you know, meet kinksters that way. So I still think this is a very super valuable part of the community and beautiful, and I like the look of them and the idea of them. And they're just a little distracting to me, and then I can't focus, and then I find myself getting a little cranky wearing them even. So I just wanted to share that and validate that if you're feeling the same way too, or ever have, or ever will. Or maybe even if you don't feel that way at all, just to share the perspective of someone else in this community who views it a little bit differently. So, love you so much. We will chat soon, bestie. Bye.
Thank you so much for joining me this episode. You can follow the podcast on the platform where you're listening to get updates with new episodes. You can follow me on social media at Kinky Bestie. I'm on Instagram. You can also check the show notes for any links or resources that I talked about in this episode, or just more ways to connect with me. And please share this with your kinky friends who could benefit from this type of content. There is also an option for each podcast episode to engage with Q&As or polls. So I'd love to hear from you and create future episodes around what you want to chime in with. So please check those out in the show notes too. And I look forward to hearing from you. Bye.